Something big is happening and the International Olympic Committee knows it. The ratings are slipping, the energy feels different, and across America, people are saying the same three words: turn it off.
It's been a hard time for the community overall under this administration. It isn't the first time that we've had to come together as a community and try and fight for our human rights.
This is not about sports anymore. This is about Team USA. This is about athletes like Amber Glenn standing on the world stage in Italy and saying that they have mixed emotions about representing the United States while wearing the American flag. Meanwhile, President Donald J. Trump, he's in office. ICE is enforcing immigration law. Polls from the New York Times, the ABC News, CBS News, and even the Marquette University, they're showing a majority of Americans support deportations. The country has clearly shifted, but some Olympic athletes are speaking like America is the problem. Sound familiar? This is the same backlash we saw when the NFL chose Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl halftime show and millions felt lectured instead of entertained.
Lyrics because you're speaking it in what they deem to be a foreign language. That is a legitimate point that the president made. That part.
When you guys chose Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl, there was some blowback from that. I wonder what you make of that situation and what went into the decision to choose Bad Bunny as your Super Bowl halftime performer.
He's one of the leading and most popular entertainers in the world. That's what we try to achieve on stage for us. It's an important element to the entertainment value. That I'm not sure we've ever selected an artist where we didn't have some blowback or criticism. Literally hundreds of millions of people that are watching. But we're confident it's going to be a great show.
Here's the question no one in the media wants you to ask. What happens when regular Americans feel insulted by the very people supposed to represent them? Well, tonight we're going to go ahead and break down exactly why viewers are walking away and why this may be the biggest cultural inflection point the Olympics has ever faced. Be sure to stick with me, guys. Subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy the video by the end, be sure to drop a like for me if I've earned it. Now, let's go ahead and start with the part that nobody inside the Olympic media committee wants to say out loud. The vibe is different. Now, for decades, the Olympics were untouchable. Families planned their evenings around it. Classrooms rolled in the TVs. Y'all remember that with the VCR on there? Entire cities stopped to watch it. I mean, it wasn't just a sporting event. This was a shared national moment. Now, people are scrolling on past it, and you can feel it. The energy isn't excitement. It's irritation. It's fatigue. A lot of people don't even know that the Olympics are going on right now. That's how disconnected people have become. And when viewers say, man, turn that off, this is not laziness. This is not apathy. This is a decision. This is not just about ratings charts. This is about cultural rejection. This is about Americans sensing that something sacred representing your country is being treated casually.
Sure, I understand. You worked your ass off since you were born to get really, really good at a sport. You made it to the Olympics team, not even an alternate. You get on a plane, go overseas to a strange foreign land, sit down, and instead of talking about your sport, you decide you're going to talk about and take questions about how much you can't stay in the country, whose flag you're wearing on your... What the is wrong with you? You shouldn't be there. Somebody who loves the country should be there, even if they suck at the sport and won't even get in the top 10. They should be there, waving the American flag, proud of where they're from. Do you think you're better off in Italy? Have you seen the history of Italy? By the way, what are you complaining about in the United States? What specifically do you think you know? Because I'm here to tell you, you don't know what you think you know. So instead of going there and representing my family and me, and our flag of this country, you're representing your own lunacy. You're representing your own unintelligentness, which isn't a word. You're representing your own delusion about what you think is going on in the country that gave you all this opportunity.
When the Olympics stop feeling like a celebration of America and they start feeling more like a lecture about America, viewers respond to that. Silently, they disengage. And that silence is louder than any protest chant, because when millions simply just choose not to show up, that's not indifference. That is a message. And the message is, we didn't sign up for this. So now let's talk about the moment that really lit the fuse. Amber Glenn, Team USA. Drop a yes if you've heard her name before, okay? Standing in Italy, wearing the American flag, representing the most powerful nation on the earth. She has the gall to stand up there and says that she has mixed emotions about representing the United States. Mixed emotions. Now, think about that for a second, okay? You trained your whole life for this. Millions would trade places with you to be there. You're not an alternate. You made it. You earned that spot. And the first thing that we hear, it's not gratitude, it's distance. Okay. She says, I don't represent everything going on in the US. Nobody asked you to represent every law. You're not here to represent every freaking law. Get up on that stage, grab your medal, and get the hell off the damn stage. Nobody asked you to represent every politician. You represent the country. You represent the people who cheered you on. Win your sport sport and go home. There's a huge difference between saying, I love my country and I want it to be better, and saying, I'm not sure how I feel about wearing this flag. You see the difference there, right? That's where the emotional split happens, because most athletes are grateful to be there. They're proud. They're freaking honored. Like, who wouldn't be?
Most of the athletes, they're incredible, they're patriotic, they're so grateful to be there, and we're happy to have them there representing our country.
I mean, this is being able to represent the U.S. at this stage in the Olympics is one of the greatest honors that I've ever had. Grateful to be here representing the red, white, and blue.
I think it kind of means the world. It's really like a whirlwind of emotions. Flying here this morning, hanging out in the village all day, and then getting fitted for our clothes, and just meeting athletes, and then coming here and practicing, and now it's all like, oh my gosh, like day one's over. Like, it's kind of crazy.
But then you have someone like Amber Glenn who talks like this with vocal fry, and she's out there in Milan trashing our country, saying it's so hard for the queer community. First off, sweetie, as a gay man living in America, it's never been a better time, okay? We have equal rights, the border is secure, crime is coming down, the economy's going up, the S&P 500. I don't know about you, but what rights have you lost? All they know is victimhood. And let me also just say, I know some folks are gonna try to cancel me for this. I don't wanna see this new ugly rainbow pride flag at the Olympics, okay? It's the American flag or nothing else. And maybe Amber Glenn and some of these female athletes who want to trash the Trump administration and trash our country, they should just show some gratitude, right? He has protected the integrity of women's sports. He came in, one of his first things he ever did in office was sign an executive order to protect women athletes. But y'all don't want to say anything about that.
Most athletes are grateful to be there. They're proud. They're freaking honored. Like, who wouldn't be?
Brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here.
But when a few sound like they resent the jersey that they're wearing, that becomes the entire story. And viewers, they ask a very simple question. If you don't want to honor it, why are you wearing it? Y'all let me know if they should take the jerseys off if they don't honor the jersey that they're wearing.
I'd love for you to go around and talk to some of the people that are from other countries that are in the Olympics right now. And you tell them that you're embarrassed to be representing the United States of America because they're deporting people that are here illegally. Please record their facial expressions when they look at you in utter disbelief because of how insane that sounds. There's also a good number of countries on that list looking at you and understand how privileged you are, even if you don't see it, because you can speak out against what your government is doing with no repercussions, which is not a right that a lot of these people have. And if you're so ashamed to be representing America right now, then leave. Because I don't think it's too much to ask that the people that are representing this country in the Olympics should actually love the country that they're from. But let me reassure you, Hunter Hess, the feeling is mutual. We're ashamed that you're allowed to wear our flag in the Olympics because you definitely do not represent America.
Now, here's where the temperature really rises. More and more, we're hearing athletes say politics affects all of us. And that's true. Of course, politics affects us. Laws affects us. Policies affect us. Nobody's denying that. You can't do 100 mile an hour down your neighborhood because the speed limit's like 25 or 35, right? Laws affect everybody. But here's a real question. Is the Olympic podium the place for that? I mean, seriously, like when people tune in to watch Team USA, they're not looking for a campaign rally. They're not looking for some policy seminar. They're looking for excellence. They're looking for discipline. They're looking for unity. They're hoping we win. That moment when the red, white, and blue rises and everybody left, right, and independent stands up together. So instead, we're getting these speeches. We're getting activism from the Olympic podium. We're getting lectures about how hard it is to represent America right now. Like, what are these people doing up there? And viewers are thinking to themselves, we didn't tune in for this. Did y'all tune in for this? Now, sports have always been a break from the noise, a pause button, if you will, a place where we can cheer together even if we disagree on everything else, right? But when the International Olympic Committee, the IOC stage, becomes a political platform, it stops feeling like unity. Starts to feel a little bit like division. How about a lot of it? Yeah, probably a lot of it. And that's when the remote comes out. That's when the phrase, turn it off, stops being a joke and it becomes a choice. So now let's be honest about something else, okay? Now, of course, this is not happening in a vacuum. Today is February 2026. Donald J. Trump is president of the United States. One of his first moves back in office an executive order aimed at protecting women's sports. Now, at the same time, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, is actively enforcing deportation laws. Those are facts of the moment. So when athletes talk about hard times and mixed emotions, viewers naturally connect the dots, because whether they say his name or not, the backdrop is rather clear. Trump is in office. Immigration enforcement is happening. The country voted for direction, and when the Olympic stage becomes a platform to criticize that direction, many viewers feel like the criticism isn't just aimed at policy, it's aimed at them. So now, let me go ahead and pivot just for a moment, because this next part actually connects to something very real for a lot of people. I mean, we talk about politics affecting everyday life. Well, here's something that actually does. $75 doesn't sound huge until it's every month. Month after month. That's $900 a year. Now, one of our viewers realized that they were paying that much because of an outdated Medicare plan. Nobody explained it to her. Nobody reviewed it. It just kept on draining her money quietly. And that's the kind of slow leak that most people never notice. This is exactly what Chapter helps to fix. They review your Medicare coverage and they find the hidden gaps and unnecessary costs that add up over time. Now, most people are already calling the phone number at the bottom of your screen right there, 909-563-8279. Right now to get this thing fixed so that they can save money and get the benefits that they deserve, or they're clicking the link in the description down below to go to askchapter.org/Ron to make sure that they're not losing money that they've worked their whole lives to earn. It's not fair, guys. Make sure you give my friends at Chapter a call now and tell them your friend Ron says hello, okay? Because whether we're talking about politics or healthcare, here's the truth. The details do matter. And so now, speaking of details, let's look at the numbers that really change this conversation. And that's where the polling comes in. So here's where this gets really real. It gets very real, because this isn't just emotion. This isn't just vibes. This isn't just social media outrage. There are numbers, okay? Recent polling from the New York Times, ABC News, CBS News, even the Marquette University, they all show something striking. A majority of Americans are now supporting deporting immigrants who are in the country illegally. Now think about that shift there. If we go back to like 2016, support for mass deportations was far lower than that. But now, multiple major news outlets, not partisan blogs, not some anonymous sources, but mainstream institutions, even CNN, even MSNBC has slipped the veil, so to speak.
Sometimes I like blunt questions because they sort of get at the underlying feelings that people have. So this is about as blunt a question as you can get. Deport all immigrants here illegally. I will note the ABC News poll asked about undocumented immigrants. So we have slightly different questions, but these were all taken within the last month. And there's real uniformity here. That's what I really think you see. You see real uniformity. Deporting all immigrants who are here illegally, 55% of the New York Times, Marquette, 64%, CBS News, 57%, ABC News with a slightly different question, 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters. Feelings towards immigration in this country, feelings towards undocumented immigrants and deporting all of them have become considerably more hawkish. And I think that gives Donald Trump much more leverage to go with the American people and sort of have these hawkish, some might say harsh, different rhetoric and also issue-based sort of going after immigrants who are here illegally, want immigration levels decreased. This includes legal and illegal immigration. Look at this. Last year, 55%. That is the highest level since the 9/11 aftermath. You go back just to 2020.
And this again, legal and illegal. So people want less people coming into the country.
Exactly. They want less people coming into the country. Look at that. That's a 14-point rise from 2023. You go back to 2016 when Donald Trump again was running for president the first time, it was 38%. That's a 17-point rise. So the bottom line is more folks want people who are here illegally deported, and their overall feelings towards immigration have become considerably more hawkish.
63% say they're okay with deporting immigrants who are here illegally and arrived in the last 4 years. 87% are good with deporting immigrants who are here illegally and have criminal records.
They're all reporting majority support. That's a huge cultural move. So when Olympic athletes speak out as if the country is unified against enforcement policies carried out by ICE, viewers are kind of looking at these polls and they're asking like, who exactly are you speaking for? You ain't speaking for me, because according to the data, the country has already moved. So what you talking about, Willis?
I feel heartbroken about what's happened in the United States when, I'm pretty sure you're referencing ICE and some of the protests and things like that. I I think that as a country, we need to focus on respecting everybody's rights and making sure that we're treating our citizens as well as anybody with love and respect. And I hope that when people look at athletes compete in the Olympics, they realize that that's the America that we're trying to represent.
What hasn't changed? Donald Trump's still your president, and ICE is still out there deporting people. Wow. Have a nice day.
It's been a hard time for the community overall under this administration. It isn't the first time that we've had to come together as a community and try and fight for our human rights. And now, especially, it's not just affecting the queer community, but many other communities. And I think that we are able to support each other in a way that we didn't have to before, and because of that, it's made us a lot stronger. I hope I can use my platform and my voice throughout these games to try and encourage people to stay strong in these hard times.
We are about 3 weeks from moving out of the United States and to the Netherlands. And one thing I've noticed on social media is the sheer number of people who are talking about moving. There is a mass exodus going on because people see what's happening and the cost of living and the quality of life going down, and all of the reasons that I've been talking about, other people are now seeing, and they're starting to make their arrangements. The visa groups I'm in and the Move Out of America groups that I'm in on Facebook have been blowing up. So many new members.
So when public opinion moves one direction, but elite cultural voices move a different direction, something snaps there, right? And that snap is exactly what we're seeing in the ratings. It's not just disagreement. This is a disconnect between athletes and the majority of the people who are watching the show or choosing not to watch. So now I want to talk about the emotional core of this whole thing, right? The flag, red, white, blue, right? Now for Americans, for many Americans, it's not just fabric. Red stands for sacrifice, blue for justice and perseverance, white for truth and integrity. Now, those meanings may not be written into the law, but they're deeply felt. And here's where it becomes intense. There are families in this country who have buried loved ones under that flag. There are coffins that came home draped in that flag. Am I talking to anybody out here in the audience right now, right? Drop a veteran down below if you know what I'm saying here. So when someone wears that same flag on an Olympic uniform and sounds hesitant about representing it, that hits hard for a reason. It feels personal. You don't have to agree with every policy. Like, no one's going to agree with every policy. You don't have to love every administration, but when the uniform represents generations of sacrifice, the tone does matter. This is why some viewers react with such force, because to them, it's not about politics, it's about respect. And when respect feels missing, the backlash doesn't simmer, it erupts. And so now I want to talk about something a little subtle, but it's very powerful. These comments didn't happen at a local meeting. They didn't happen in a private event. They happened overseas, in Italy, on the world stage. Now that matters, because when you criticize your country while you're standing on foreign soil, while you're wearing your national colors representing your people, the optics change.
It's been a hard time for the community overall under this administration. It isn't the first time that we've had to come together as a community and try and fight for our human rights. And now, especially, it's not just affecting the queer community, but many other communities. And I think that we are able to support each other in a way that we didn't have to before. And because of that, it's made us a lot stronger. I hope I can use my platform and my voice throughout these games to try and encourage people to stay strong in these hard times. I know that a lot of people say, you're just an athlete, like stick to your job, shut up about politics, but politics affect us all. It is something that I will not just be quiet about, because it is something that affects us in our everyday lives. So, of course, there are things that I disagree with, but as a community, we are strong and we support each other, and brighter days are ahead of us.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here.
Some people might even argue it's borderline treason. It hits differently. If America really is as oppressive as some of these comments suggest, then why is it the country that gave you the platform to speak freely about it? Anybody, have you ever thought about that? How about this? If America is that oppressive, why are you still living in America? Why not go somewhere else that's less oppressive, right? This is how viewers are feeling right now. Nobody's saying athletes can't have opinions. Of course they can. It's part of living in a free country. One of your rights in this oppressive country. But there's an irony that's hard to ignore. There's a time and place for everything. You are free to criticize America because you are in America. You are protected by the freedoms of the very system that you're criticizing. You trained in it. You were funded in it. You were elevated by it. And now you're turning your head and spitting at it. And now you're representing it in Italy while sounding disconnected from it. That's not a policy debate. That is an emotional disconnect. And viewers, they feel that immediately. So now, here's where the story gets even bigger than that, because this is not just about the Olympics. You guys remember the Super Bowl? I mean, the NFL chose Bad Bunny as a halftime performer. Now, that decision sparked backlash, especially over the language and the political undertones. Millions of people felt like they were being spoken at, not entertained. The NFL defended it: corporate language, global audience, cultural relevance. But here's what matters. When viewers feel like major institutions are using sports to send messages instead of bringing people together, something shifts. The phrase "go woke" or "go broke" didn't come from nowhere. It came from repeated moments where audiences felt pushed, not invited. And so now, whether you agree with that phrase or not, the emotional reaction is real. People want sports to unify. When they sense division instead, they disengage. The Olympics and the NFL are very different organizations, but the pattern feels eerily similar to many viewers. And when patterns repeat, so does behavior. So now I want to go ahead and step back just for a second. Let's look at the broader picture, because when the athletes talk about hard times and mixed emotions, a lot of viewers are looking at something else entirely. They're looking at the economy. They're looking at the S&P 500 hitting strong levels. They're hearing claims that the border is more secure. They're seeing President Donald J. Trump frame his administration as restoring order and stability. So whether you agree with that framing or not, it's how millions of Americans are seeing the moment. So when an athlete says it's hard to represent the United States right now, viewers respond with a very basic question. What exactly are you talking about? Are you talking about the policy disagreements? Are you talking about immigration enforcement by ICE? Are you talking about culture? Because for many families, this feels like a period of correction and not collapse. That contrast between grievance language and perceived stability, it creates friction. And friction creates backlash. When reality feels different from the rhetoric, people stop listening, and sometimes they just stop watching. And then we had the moment involving Charisse Theron quoting Nelson Mandela. Peace is not just the absence of conflict. Peace is the creation of an environment where we can all flourish. Now, that's a beautiful quote. Almost nobody disagrees with the idea. Inclusivity, flourishing, opportunity. Those are deeply American ideals. So here's where the tension comes in. When those values are presented as if America does not embody them, that's when the viewers push back, because millions believe America is precisely the reason that those ideals can exist at all. They see a country where athletes from every background can rise and compete and speak freely. So when the rhetoric sounds like America is the obstacle to inclusion rather than the platform for it, the emotional wires start to cross. Nobody's against flourishing, but people resist being told their country stands in the way of it. That's not just political, it's clearly personal. So now here's the part that really matters the most. It's the viewers, okay? Because this whole story isn't really about the athletes. It's really about the response. During the Super Bowl, millions of people were captive. I use the word captive for a reason. You're at a party, you're at a bar, the game is on. You watch the halftime show whether you like it or not. But the Olympics, that's a choice. You decide to turn it on and you decide to turn it off. So when people quietly step away, that's not chaos. That's not riots. That's not trending hashtags. That's consumer power. The International Olympic Committee, the IOC, and the NFL are massive institutions. They rely on viewership. They rely on cultural goodwill. And when everyday Americans feel insulted or dismissed, they don't always argue. They disengage. That's really what makes this moment so powerful. It's not loud. It's quiet. This is the remote control. It's the scroll past. It's the remote control. It's the I'm just not into it this year. You know what I'm saying? And when the sentiment spreads across millions, it becomes a cultural statement. It's not indifference. It's just disengagement. So where does this leave us? I think it leaves us kind of at a crossroads right now. I mean, sports used to be one of the last neutral spaces in American life. You know, a place where politics pause for a minute, where you could cheer for Team America without knowing how the athlete voted. Now, it feels like that wall has cracked. On the one side, you got athletes who believe using their platform is part of their duty. But on the other side, you have viewers who believe that representing your country requires gratitude first, critique second. That's where we're at right now. Now, here's the irony. The reason that these athletes can criticize America on global television is because America protects that right. That's freedom, not the oppression that they're trying to say, right? But freedom doesn't guarantee applause. As of today, with President Donald J. Trump in office and the country sharply aware of immigration enforcement and cultural debates, emotions are heightened. And when the Olympic stage becomes a political signal instead of a unifying symbol, viewers send a signal back by tuning out. The question now isn't whether athletes can speak. They can. The question is whether audiences will keep listening to them. And right now, many are saying enough. Well, if you made it to the end, did I earn your like? If I did, drop a like, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.